Ever feel like drowning in sticky notes?
Yeah.
Gantt charts. You know, that project deadline looming?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Been there.
That's where Scrum, I think,
Yeah.
really comes in. And today, we are diving into I think, the ultimate playbook,
Yeah.
the Scrum Guide by Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sutherland,
Right.
to really understand this whole Agile framework.
And believe me, it's more than just a buzzword.
Right.
It can fundamentally change how you approach projects, make them more efficient, adaptable, and, dare I say, enjoyable.
Okay, so the guide describes Scrum as a lightweight framework, but it tackles complex problems. So how does that work?
It's lightweight in its rules and structure,
Okay.
but don't let that fool you. It's designed, like you said, to handle complexity by being adaptable. Think of traditional project management, like meticulously planning a road trip, like every turn, every stop.
You're stuck with that plan,
Yeah.
even if you see a detour that leads to something amazing.
Exactly. Scrum is more like having a compass and adjusting your route as you go. It acknowledges that you can't predict everything up front,
Right.
especially in complex projects.
So you're prepared to change course, to embrace those detours and discoveries.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
And that's where the 3 pillars of Scrum come in: transparency, inspection, and adaptation.
Okay.
They're like the guiding principles for navigating those unexpected turns.
And the guide really emphasizes the importance of inspecting diligently. It's not just a casual glance, it's about actively seeking understanding.
Absolutely. Transparency ensures everyone has a clear view of the project's progress,
Okay.
like looking at a shared map. Inspection means regularly checking that map, not just at the beginning, to see where you are.
Okay.
And adaptation, that's where you decide, based on what you've learned, if you need to adjust your route.
This really resonates with me. It's not enough to just have a plan. You need to be open to adjusting it based on what you discover along the way.
Precisely. And that's a perfect segue to the Scrum values, which are often overlooked. They're not just nice to haves, but the very foundation that makes Scrum effective.
And the guide really emphasizes that these values foster a culture of trust within the team. But how do they actually play out in a real-world setting?
Imagine a team where everyone feels safe to voice concerns, admit mistakes, and learn from each other without fear of being blamed. That's the power of Scrum values: commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage in action.
It's like, what's the point of being right if you're right alone?
Yeah.
Scrum seems to be as much about the how we work together as it is about the what we're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. And speaking of working together, Scrum introduces these key players, the dream team,
Okay.
the product owner, the Scrum master, and the developers.
And the guide is very clear that these are distinct roles, each with their own responsibilities, not just a free-for-all.
Right. Think of the product owner as the visionary,
Okay.
the one with the compass,
Okay.
always keeping the product goal in sight. They're ensuring that the team is always laser focused on delivering the most valuable things.
And the guide really emphasizes that the product owner is one person,
Yes,
not a committee.
correct.
But they represent the voice of many stakeholders.
Many voices.
So yeah, they need some serious diplomacy skills.
Absolutely. They translate those stakeholder needs into a clear and actionable plan, which is the product backlog.
Okay, so that makes sense. So if the product owner is the visionary who keeps the team on track, moving towards that vision, is that where the Scrum Master steps in?
Exactly. Think of the Scrum Master as a coach,
Right.
guiding the team to become self-managing and high-performing. They help everyone understand and implement Scrum effectively, removing any roadblocks the team might encounter along the way.
It's like they're clearing the path so the team can really focus on reaching the destination.
Yes. And speaking of the team, the guide refers to them as developers, but I love how it clarifies that this term encompasses, a much broader range of expertise than just coding, right? Absolutely. You've got designers, writers, testers, anyone who plays a part in creating the product. It's about recognizing that successful products are built by diverse teams with a shared goal.
So we've got our visionary product owner, our guiding Scrum Master, and our diverse team of developers. But how do they actually work together? It seems like Scrum has like a rhythm to it,
Yes.
almost like a dance.
You're spot on. Scrum emphasizes rhythm and regularity,
Okay.
and not unnecessary rules.
Right.
It's about establishing a flow,
Okay.
and that's where the Scrum events come in.
And the guide describes the sprint as the heartbeat of Scrum.
Yes.
This fixed period, usually a month or less, where the magic happens.
Yeah.
It acts as a container for all the other events. Tell me more about that.
Right. Think of the sprint as a series of focused bursts of activity.
Okay.
Within each sprint, you have events like sprint planning, the daily scrum, the sprint review, and the sprint retrospective.
Okay.
Each event has a specific purpose designed to keep the team aligned and moving forward.
Okay, let's break those down a bit. So what happens in a sprint planning session? They all get together in a room, whiteboard, sticky notes, the works.
You've got it. Sprint planning is where the team collaborates to decide what they can achieve in the upcoming sprint
Okay.
and how they will achieve it. They pull items from the product backlog that align with the sprint goal.
So it's all about setting a realistic target for the sprint.
Yes,
No more overcommitting and then scrambling to catch up.
exactly. And to stay on track, there's the daily scrum,
Okay.
a quick daily check-in for the developers
Right.
to synchronize, discuss their progress towards the sprint goal.
Makes sense.
It's time boxed to 15 minutes, so no hour-long status meetings here.
Music to my ears. Okay, so the developers have been diligently working towards the sprint goal. What happens at the end of the sprint?
That's when you have the sprint review,
Okay.
a moment to celebrate achievements and gather feedback.
Okay.
The team presents the increment, the usable product resulting from the sprint, to stakeholders.
And I like how the guide emphasizes that the increment has to meet the definition of done.
Yes,
So it's not just about checking tasks off a list. It's about delivering something truly valuable, truly usable.
precisely. And speaking of reflecting and improving, we can't forget the sprint retrospective.
Yes.
It's a dedicated time for the team to discuss what went well during the sprint,
Okay.
what could be improved, and how they can work even better together in the future.
So even though it happens last, it's not an afterthought.
Yeah.
It's about continuously learning and growing as a team. This framework is really well thought out. It's impressive.
It is. Now let's shift gears and talk about the tools that bring these events and roles together, the Scrum artifacts.
Okay.
We've already touched on a couple of these.
Yeah, we have.
But they're important enough to dive into a little deeper.
That makes sense. So we've talked about the product goal and the product backlog. From what I understand, these artifacts act like, like a roadmap and a to-do list,
Yeah.
but they're meant to evolve as the team gains knowledge.
You got it. And that's a key point. The guide highlights that these artifacts are not static documents.
Right.
They're meant to be constantly refined and updated based on what the team learns. They promote transparency and provide a shared understanding for everyone involved.
So they're not set in stone. They're more like living documents, always adapting to new information and insights.
Exactly. And that ties back to Scrum's emphasis on adaptability. Now, you mentioned the product backlog,
Right.
which captures all the desired features and functionalities of the product, prioritized by the product owner.
Right.
But within a sprint, the team works from a more focused artifact,
Okay.
the sprint backlog.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Sprint backlog. That's where the rubber meets the road.
Yes.
Right. It's the team's game plan for the sprint.
Yeah.
Breaking down those larger product backlog items into those actionable tasks.
Precisely. Think of it as the team's to-do list for the sprint,
Okay.
carefully crafted during sprint planning. It's constantly updated as the team, gains a deeper understanding of the work.
And of course, all of this leads to the increment, the piece de resistance of each sprint. Right?
Yes.
It's not just about finishing tasks, but delivering something of value that meets that all-important definition of done.
Absolutely. The increment is the tangible outcome of a sprint.
Okay.
A potentially shippable product increment that adds value. And the definition of done ensures everyone agrees on what done actually means.
Right.
No more ambiguity or fuzzy interpretations.
It's like, that feeling when you order something online and it arrives and it's only partially assembled.
Oh, yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
The definition of done ensures that everything is truly complete and ready to go.
I love that analogy. It really highlights the importance of having shared understanding and clear expectations from the start. And that actually brings us to a crucial point that the guide emphasizes. Scrum is immutable.
Immutable. You mean you can't just pick and choose which parts of Scrum to use?
That's right.
It's all or nothing.
You can't just leave out the daily Scrum because you find it inconvenient, or decide to skip the sprint retrospective because you're short on time.
Right.
Scrum is a cohesive framework, and its elements work together to create, this synergistic effect.
It's like baking a cake.
Yes.
Right. You can't just leave out the flour and expect it to rise.
Yeah.
You need all the ingredients in the right proportions.
Exactly. But here's the thing. While the Scrum framework itself is fixed, Its beauty lies in its adaptability to different contexts and industries.
So you have the structure and the guidelines, but each team has the freedom to apply those principles in a way that makes sense for their specific needs and their goals.
Exactly, and that's why we see Scrum being, successfully implemented in fields as diverse as software development, marketing, education, and even healthcare.
Wow.
It's a testament to its versatility.
That's really fascinating. It's like a universal language for getting things done in a more collaborative and efficient way.
It really is. And that brings me to a thought-provoking question that the guide poses.
Okay.
What if we stopped celebrating being busy and instead focused on delivering value?
Ooh, powerful question. It's a good reminder that it's not about checking off tasks on a list, but about making a real impact.
Exactly. It's about working smarter, not harder. And maybe, just maybe, Scrum can help us get there.
Food for thought. If this deep dive into the world of Scrum has sparked your own aha moments, we would love to hear from you. Head over to our social media and share your thoughts or any questions. Until next time, happy Scrumming.